Tomorrow is Ethan's and my wedding. He said he was going to a bachelor party with his friends tonight. So, when I saw him in our newlywed apartment, the one we'd decorated together, passionately kissing a woman in a wedding dress, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. There was no way I could mistake Ethan, the man I'd been with for 3 years and was about to marry. Ethan was wearing the suit he was supposed to wear for the wedding tomorrow, and the woman was wearing the wedding dress I had carefully chosen. Completely engrossed, the two didn't notice an extra person in the room. They couldn't even wait to get into a bedroom. Already unable to control themselves in the living room, I heard the woman's sweet, soft voice. "Ethan, will you love me forever?" She cooed at Ethan, her voice soft and seductive, making it even more captivating. Ethan, as expected, couldn't resist. While kissing the woman, he eagerly declared, "Of course, I love you. I'll love you forever. Only you for all my life." In that moment, I couldn't help but wonder if I was truly having a nightmare. I had never seen such an eager expression on Ethan's face before. I pinched myself hard. It hurt. It wasn't a dream. Everything before my eyes was real. My fiancé, Ethan, was famously a stoic poker face. His handsome features never betrayed any extra emotion. Even when he proposed to me, I hadn't seen a single outward sign of feeling on his face. I once described Ethan as, "He's handsome, sure, but so cold, like a robot." During our 3 years together, Ethan and I rarely shared affectionate gestures. I'd thought he was naturally aloof, but I never imagined his passion had long since blossomed for someone else. And that someone else was Lily, Mrs. Davies's daughter, who had grown up with Ethan. "Ethan, I really wish I could marry you legitimately. Why does Chloe, that woman, get to have you?" Lily was a master of feigned sorrow, her tears already falling before she even finished her sentence. Ethan, as expected, felt his heart ache for her. He quickly pulled her into his arms, comforting her. "It's all my fault for letting you suffer." Lily gazed at him seductively, her large eyes filled with dependence. "Ethan, tonight, wearing this wedding dress, it's like I'm marrying you. From now on, you can only love me." It was Lily's most practiced tone, so syrupy sweet and utterly sickening. "Didn't you say Chloe was standoffish and reserved? Only good for research, completely lacking charm, which is why you personally chose her to be my fiancé? Why are you jealous now?" Ethan laughed. I took a deep breath, finally understanding my place. It turned out his standoffish and reserved, unlucky fiancé, was merely a tool they used to cover up their scandal. I had once been puzzled as to why Ethan would choose me, just a bookworm focused on research, from so many potential matches. So, it was my standoffish and reserved nature he was interested in? 3 years ago, after graduating, I returned home and started working at a prestigious research institute. Robert said he wanted to host a welcome home dinner for me, so he specifically arranged a banquet. It was called a welcome dinner, but it was actually a blind date between Ethan and me. Ethan had already taken over from Mr. William, and he was the center of attention wherever he went. Mrs. Margaret had arranged many dates with well-bred young ladies from prominent families for him, and I was the most inconspicuous choice among them. Our two families were family friends. The family was Riverbend City's largest real estate developer, and Robert was the head of a subsidiary of Sterling. To put it nicely, we were in a subordinate relationship. To put it less kindly, Robert was an associate of the Sterling family, dependent on them for his current achievements. That day, I thought the blind date was just a formality, but Ethan unexpectedly proposed we start dating. Thinking back now, Lily must have chosen me for him. Lily's mother was Mrs. Davies, the nanny who had always looked after Ethan. Lily grew up with her in the Sterling household, making her Ethan's childhood sweethearts. However, their social statuses were worlds apart. With my naive engineering student's imagination, Ethan and Lily's story was probably a cliché romantic comedy plot, as melodramatic as it gets. A boy and girl growing up under the same roof, spending formative years together, inadvertently developed feelings for each other, only for their strict parents to discover it and break up a couple. Out of consideration for Lily's mother, the Sterling family didn't go to extremes. Instead, they paid for Lily to study abroad. I originally thought time and distance would sever this ill-fated relationship, but I never expected that experience would make Lily even more desperate to cling to Ethan as her lifeline. So, Lily, having returned from studies abroad, found every way to seduce Ethan. However, Ethan hadn't fully taken power yet. If his parents found out about them, they would surely break them up again. And this time, they wouldn't be as lenient. Lily dared not risk it. She had to wait until Ethan had complete authority. Before then, to cover up their tracks, they needed a public front to hide their relationship. Was there anyone more suitable than me? In terms of family background, my family and the Sterling family were family friends. Robert's career was dependent on the Sterling family, so even if I truly discovered their illicit affair in the future, I would have no choice but to endure it. As for appearance, I was the complete opposite of Lily's sweet and delicate look. As an engineering major, I'm known for being steady and composed. You could say I'm quiet and intellectual, but frankly, I lack charm and am too rigid, definitely not Ethan's type. In his eyes, I posed no threat to her, so she naturally felt safe placing me by Ethan's side. In fact, Lily had never considered me a rival at all. When I dated, he would always leave halfway through for various reasons. Looking back now, I suspect more than half of Ethan's calls were from Lily. Even when I was unaware, this woman couldn't help but assert her claim over him to me. I quietly left that disgusting place, as if nothing had happened. The wedding on the second day proceeded as planned. It was a pity about the wedding dress I had meticulously chosen. In the end, I had to change into the backup mermaid-style wedding dress. It was better this way, lighter to wear, and easier for me to perform later. Ethan's and my wedding was a grand affair. Almost all the prominent figures in Riverbend City were there, and the Sterling family's business partners from various regions also attended. As the wedding ceremony began, Ethan and I stood on the meticulously decorated stage. I looked at his calm face, recalling what I had witnessed last night, and almost threw up. Thankfully, I held it in. Lily was my bridesmaid. Ethan had arranged it, perhaps so they could stand on stage together. Even in this capacity, Lily, as a bridesmaid, came to present us with the rings. She wore a bridesmaid dress, with a charming tiara on her head, looking more like the bride than I did. The moment she handed over the rings, Lily gazed at Ethan with a look of lingering affection, her eyes like hooks, seemingly wanting to ensnare his very soul. Ethan seemed momentarily lost, and it was only the MC's prompt that made him take the rings in time. The MC was very professional, and the ceremony proceeded step by step. Finally reaching the wedding video segment, I had prepared a grand gift for this despicable pair. A computer expert, had hacked into the wedding planner's computer and uploaded the video I'd edited. What should have been a wedding video documenting Ethan's and my wedding, turned into a steamy bedroom scene between Ethan and Lily. On the projector screen, Ethan was kissing Lily like a dog, while Lily, teary-eyed and pitiful, said to him, "Ethan, I really wish I could marry you legitimately. Why does Chloe, that woman, get to have you?" Lily's words, meant to elicit sympathy, had been edited by me into undeniable evidence of her resentment. Next, it was my turn to put on a show. What is going on here? I looked utterly disbelieving, on the verge of tears, at Ethan and Lily. On the projector screen, Lily's words played on a loop. "Ethan, I really wish I could marry you legitimately. Why does Chloe, that woman, get to have you?" I seemed to suddenly understand, indignantly pointing at Lily. "Lily, it's you! You want to stop our wedding. You don't want me to marry Ethan. So you did this on purpose, didn't you?" At these words, the entire hall erupted in an uproar, and even Ethan seemed to think so. Wondering if yesterday's encounter had been Lily's deliberate design, she spoke of being magnanimous, but deep down, she still couldn't bear the thought of him marrying another woman. "No, this video is fake. It's fake." Lily panicked, her face pale as she tried to explain. But that's when I conveniently fainted. "The bride has fainted. Get her to the hospital." Just before losing consciousness, I saw a young man at the head table. He was the first to shout. Immediately after, Helen's scream and the fervent chatter around us instantly drowned out Lily's faint protests. In just that brief moment, Lily missed her best chance to salvage the situation. The guests present that day were already buzzing. TSK. The Sterling family's eldest son is having an affair with the family nanny. Ethan's and my wedding became the biggest joke in Riverbend City. Helen sat by my hospital bed, wiping away tears and muttering curses, tearing into Ethan and Lily with a furious rant. I felt a little guilty, but I knew Helen's character. She had followed Robert from poverty to building their current family fortune. She was certainly not someone who could be easily defeated. I believed in Helen's resilience, but not in her acting skills. That's why I hadn't told her my plan in advance. Only the most genuine reactions could bring a perfect end to this absurd wedding. Ethan and Lily's affair was exposed in front of everyone. Mrs. Margaret fainted from anger, and Mr. William, who had always prided himself on his reputation, had completely lost face this time. All thanks to Lily and Ethan. Robert pushed open the standard hospital room door and came in. He held an agreement in his hand and silently handed it to me. I scanned it quickly. It was Ethan's and my divorce papers. To compensate me, the Sterling family not only granted me several properties in cash, but also 5% of Sterling shares. A huge weight finally lifted from my chest. My plan had succeeded. Divorcing was a given, but I couldn't let them off that easily. What was rightfully mine, I would never let go of. Mr. William and Mrs. Margaret were well aware of Lily seducing Ethan, so, when the wedding farce happened, they naturally assumed it was Lily's doing again. In the Sterling family's eyes, I was the perfect victim. I had Robert negotiate the divorce on my behalf. Mr. William already felt sorry for me, and considering Robert's years of loyal service, he would naturally be more generous with me. After being discharged from the hospital, I immediately got the divorce papers with Ethan. He looked a bit haggard, scruffy, and there was a hint of apology in his eyes when he looked at me. I had already learned from Helen's gossip circle that on the day of the wedding, Lily had been urgently sent abroad, and Mrs. Margaret had even assigned people to ensure Lily and Ethan couldn't contact each other. In other words, Ethan still hadn't had a chance to hear Lily's explanation. Nice. Mrs. Margaret was truly my excellent helper. I was happy inside, but I couldn't show it on my face. I specifically asked Olivia to give me a drawn and tired makeup look, making me appear a bit pitiful. I'm sorry. Ethan finally said something decent. Lily's and my situation. It shouldn't have involved you. At least he had a bit of a conscience, though not much. Lily can't live without me, so, I'm sorry. Ethan looked deeply at me. I understood his subtext. Lily couldn't live without him, but I could. And why not? After all, I always appeared strong and capable. Men like Ethan were no exception. They favored a clinging vine who depended on them. I felt dejected inside, but on the surface, I put on a look of lingering affection. If we can't be husband and wife, at least we can be friends. Emotional stability was my greatest strength, and that was one reason Lily chose me for Ethan. Since I had received so much divorce compensation from him, I decided to part ways amicably, making him feel a bit better. Seeing my magnanimous attitude, Ethan seemed to sigh in relief. But then, seeing the affection in my eyes, he felt another surge of guilt. Men always had a bit more patience for women who liked them. Ethan offered to drive me home. I declined his offer, leaving gracefully with my divorce papers in hand. I was afraid that another second, and Ethan would see my secretly triumphant smile. I truly loved the Sterling family's divorce gift. I transferred all the Sterling family shares to Robert. With these shares, he would have a secure position in Sterling and would no longer have to worry about being easily kicked out of the place he had worked for most of his life. As for the properties, I converted all of them into cash. Now, I was a financially independent woman. It felt amazing. The second week after the divorce, Olivia and I booked tickets to the Maldives, ostensibly to mend my broken heart, but actually hoping for a beach romance. Olivia had hooked up with a handsome guy with blue eyes and blonde hair. Seeing me alone, she had a rare moment of conscience and, being very loyal, arranged a special gift for me to enjoy back at the hotel. As I stepped out of the elevator, I saw a tall, handsome man with broad shoulders and a lean waist pacing outside my room. He was at least 6 feet 1 inch tall, wearing my favorite white shirt and black suit pants, with muscles subtly visible beneath the well-tailored clothes. His face looked a bit familiar, perhaps like a celebrity I'd seen on TV. Mr. Gift spoke, his voice deep and pleasant, pleasing me even more. Come in, I said, leading him into the room. Mr. Gift seemed a little surprised. Perhaps he thought I was too direct and accepting? Should I have been more reserved? I hesitated for a second, then immediately dismissed the thought. I was a single, wealthy woman. If not now, when was the time to live freely? Go take a shower first, I ordered, feigning composure, trying to appear like a seasoned pro. Mr. Gift froze for a moment, then opened his mouth to speak. I reached out and covered his mouth. No need for explanations. Right now, I just wanted to thoroughly enjoy this gift. After, Gift gave me a very complex look. He obediently went into the bathroom. After showering, Mr. Gift emerged wrapped in a towel, his perfect abs and V-line making me silently swallow. After a night of passion, Mr. Gift proved his worth. I fell into a deep sleep, resting beside my gift, not even hearing the incessant calls from Olivia. The next day, I was woken by a frantic doorbell. I hastily threw on my robe and opened the door. Olivia burst in like a madwoman. "The handsome guy I arranged for you said he couldn't find you, and you weren't answering your phone." "What?" I turned to look, utterly distraught, at the half-naked handsome man on the bed. He offered me an apologetic smile, with a hint of grievance in his eyes. "I wanted to introduce myself, but you wouldn't let me speak, Mr. Gift." "No," the mysterious man smiled faintly. "Let me reintroduce myself, Julian. I just attended your wedding a week ago." It felt like a lightning bolt had struck me. I finally managed to recall a fleeting face from the chaotic memories of that day. No wonder he looked familiar. Wasn't he the distinguished guest sitting at the head table, the first one to shout, "The bride has fainted"? Anyone who could sit at the head table of the Sterling family's wedding was certainly not of ordinary status. Robert had told me that Sterling's largest investor was an investment firm from Hong, and the owner's last name was Leong. Judging by his age, he was probably a nephew or a younger relative of Chairman. My toes suddenly hurt. Had I kicked a really hard rock this time? Olivia winked at me. "He's even more handsome than the gift I got you." "You're in luck." With a headache, I pushed her out of the room. When and I were finally alone in the room, the atmosphere grew even more awkward. I am so sorry," I stammered, cautiously tossing the robe from the floor to him. "Please put on some clothes, and then we can talk." Julian glanced disdainfully at the dirty robe, went into the bathroom for a shower, then ordered breakfast from the hotel before finally starting to explain last night's misunderstanding. "I live right across from you. There were some things I wanted to tell you, but I didn't have your contact information, so I was waiting by your door, and I never expected." I waved my hand, feigning composure. "What happened last night isn't important. What's important is, what did Mr. Julian originally want to tell me? Oh, Lily is back. She's pregnant." So the Sterling family had no choice but to accept her. Clang! The coffee spoon in my hand dropped into the cup, splashing me. Sure enough, Lily wouldn't give up easily, but I didn't expect her to make a comeback so quickly, and with a baby on the way. TSK. This wasn't good news for me. I was about to call Helen to ask about the situation, but she called me first. Things were worse than I had imagined. "Chloe, come back quickly. Robert's in trouble." On the other end of the phone, Helen's voice was tearful, her usually sharp tone now somewhat hoarse. I didn't know how long she had been crying. "What exactly happened?" I pressed, anxious. "Robert was transferred to a company out of town, and he had an accident at the construction site right after he started. He's still in the emergency," Helen said, breaking into tears again. I took a deep breath. "Mom, don't panic. I'll be right home." With trembling fingers, I opened the flight app, but the earliest flight home wasn't until tomorrow night. At that moment, I couldn't help but resent myself for not being rich enough. "Need help?" Julian's voice came from behind me. I had almost forgotten there was someone else in the room. "I need to get home immediately. Can you help me?" I wiped away my tears and looked at the handsome man before me, although I wasn't sure of his exact identity. At a time like this, I couldn't care less about appearances. I wasn't willing to miss any possible avenue for help. "Pack your things and come with me." Julian was so decisive that I was still in a daze when I landed home. He used a private jet to take me home. No, I should say, he accompanied me home. "Thank you. I need to go to the hospital immediately. I'll properly thank you later." I hastily thanked Julian, then rushed off to see Robert. Julian stopped me and tossed me a business card. "You should know how to contact me if you want to thank me properly. I'll be waiting." He waved his hand casually. I said nothing more, clutching his business card as I got into the car heading to the hospital. Fortunately, Robert had passed the critical period and was transferred to a standard hospital room. In just 2 days, Helen's temples had turned gray, and she looked so drawn and tired, as if she had aged 10 years. Robert lay on the hospital bed, his face pale, his head wrapped in a thick bandage. The doctors said that even if he woke up, they couldn't guarantee he would return to his previous healthy state. I had someone investigate the cause and effect. All of this was thanks to Lily and Ethan. After the wedding farce, Lily was sent abroad, but shortly after she arrived abroad, she found out she was pregnant. Lily tearfully pleaded her case. Mr. William and Mrs. Margaret were not heartless people. Ultimately, for the sake of the child, they allowed Lily to return home to recuperate. Lily was a very petty woman. I had caused her such immense public humiliation at the wedding and almost caused her to be abandoned by the Sterling family, so she naturally held a deep grudge. With a bit of pillow talk influence, Ethan had Robert transferred out of town. Whether the construction site accident was truly an accident no longer mattered. If it weren't for Lily and Ethan's actions, Robert would never have suffered these misfortunes. I heard the hatred growing fiercely within me. I thought after the divorce, staying away from that scumbag and manipulative woman would be enough. But now, I wanted them to pay the price. My first meeting with Ethan after our divorce was at the hospital cafe. He was there on behalf of Mr. William to visit Robert. I'm sorry. I never expected something like this to happen. Ethan's usually cold face showed a rare trace of apology. Robert had watched him grow up and Ethan still called him uncle. Yet now he was in the hospital because of him. I wanted to slap him several times, but I held back. It wasn't wise to break ties with him now. Hadn't he and Lily trampled over others for their so-called love? I would make sure they reaped what they sowed. Thank you on Robert's behalf. I took off my sunglasses, my eyes bloodshot, looking haggard and somewhat pathetic. Ethan's expression softened further. If there's anything you need help with, just ask. He looked at me, hesitated, then spoke. Even if we couldn't be husband and wife, we're still friends. Those were the words I had said to him when we divorced. My 3 years had, after all, left a faint ripple in his heart. Unfortunately, compared to Lily, it was like the difference between a tiny star and the sun, utterly insignificant. Lily, isn't Ethan's love all you're dependent on? Then I'll make sure you lose everything. It's getting late. You should head back. I also need to go back and take care of Robert. I stood up and walked towards the door with Ethan. As we reached the corner, hurried footsteps approached. Ethan pulled me aside, but he was struck squarely by an oncoming server, who spilled a tray of coffee all over him. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, the server stammered, her face flushed, apologizing tearfully. Ethan frowned coldly, but when he clearly saw the server's face, he froze in stunned recognition. This server had a face strikingly similar to Lily's, just as innocent and just as pitiful. It's fine. Let's go. Ethan quickly composed himself and walked out of the cafe with me. We parted ways at the entrance. I turned back at the hospital entrance and saw Ethan quietly returning to the cafe we had just left. I subtly curled my lips into a smile. Ethan, you're going to love this surprise I've prepared for you. That server was Lisa, Lily's twin sister, who looked exactly like Lily. Years ago, the sisters lost their parents and were adopted separately. The elder sister was lucky, taken in by the Yin family. The younger sister wasn't so fortunate. Her adoptive parents had their own child soon after adopting her, treated her very poorly, and she had to drop out of school to work at a young age. When I found Lisa, she was working as a hostess in a bar. I only needed one sentence to make her willing to work for me. You are the one who was originally supposed to be adopted by the Yin family. Lisa had to struggle for survival from a very young age. With a face identical to Lily's, she looked more world-weary and calculating. Her auburn curly hair made her appear several years older than she actually was. But I knew that both sisters possessed the same greedy and calculating heart. Do you remember, when you were little, getting lost and being brought home by a young boy? Hearing my words, Lisa's eyes became a little hazy. These memories were too distant, yet human memory was so strange. Once mentioned, memories seemed to conjure themselves up. It sounds like there might have been something like that, Lisa said. Not entirely sure, but she nodded. I smiled faintly. The young boy who took you home back then is now Ethan, from Sterling. He was spending summer vacation at Grandma's house and happened to find you when you were lost. I learned this fact by chance during the second year of Ethan's and my relationship. The family's reason for adopting Lily was actually connected to Ethan. That summer, Ethan went to his grandfather's house, and his nanny, aunt, went with him. Ethan found a lost little girl and, doing a good deed, took her home. Coincidentally, that family was also acquainted with Ethan's grandfather. 2 years later, the couple from that family died in a car accident, leaving behind twin daughters. His grandfather told his daughter and son-in-law about it. At that time, Aunt's eldest daughter had passed away unexpectedly, and she happened to be looking to adopt a child. With the Sterling family's support, Aunt decided to adopt one of the daughters from this family. However, a relative of that family, who had no children, also decided to adopt. So the two families eventually reached an agreement, each would adopt one girl. Aunt took the girl Ethan had found previously. The family originally wanted to adopt the girl Ethan had met, but for some reason, your sister was the one they took. I said no more, leaving her to fill in the blanks herself. Lisa's eyes were bloodshot. I think I remember now. My sister was taken out and questioned about something then. She must have pretended she was the one who was lost. When and Lily were adopted, they had just started kindergarten. While young, they were old enough to have memories. Lisa's crimson manicure almost broke. I took her hand. Even with the manicure, there were still traces of hard work visible on it. She had a very difficult life all these years. So, do you want to reclaim everything that should have been yours? I took out a photo of Ethan. The tall, handsome man naturally exuded an air of nobility, and Lisa's eyes lit up with a greedy glint. To deal with a woman like Lily, of course, you needed someone more calculating and more manipulative than her. Was there anyone more suitable than her own sister? I found someone to redesign Lisa's look, changing her auburn curly hair to the long, straight dark hair like Lily's, and removing her messy manicure, aiming for an even more innocent girl facade. Then, I arranged for her to work at the hospital cafe, setting up an accidental encounter between her and Ethan. Indeed, Ethan, as I expected, returned. That evening, I received a message from Lisa. He rented an apartment for me and said I don't have to work at the cafe anymore. Reading this first report of success, I happily drained the wine in my hand. Dear ex-husband, I hope you like the gift I specifically prepared for you. Under my arrangement, Lisa approached Ethan very smoothly. Lisa was eager to tell Ethan that she was the one he had taken home all those years ago, but I stopped her. I even forbade her from actively revealing her sisterly relationship with Lily. Following my instructions, Lisa catered to his preferences, staying quietly in the small house Ethan arranged for her, doing nothing else. My 3 years of dating Ethan weren't for nothing. Although our interactions weren't passionate, I still had a good understanding of his preferences. Ethan was a very confident man, and such men were often quite suspicious. Ethan would definitely investigate Lisa's background. Compared to Lisa actively telling him, Ethan would surely trust the information he found himself more. Aside from her acquaintance with me, everything else about Lisa was impeccable. She was Lily's sister, identical in appearance but having endured so many hardships and twists of fate, far more miserable than Lily. Then, subtly, I made Ethan discover that she was the little girl he had found as a child. Ethan's attitude towards her immediately changed. A man's pity and guilt for a woman often marked the beginning of love. At least, for Ethan, that was the case. Ethan, of course, couldn't immediately let go of Lily. Lisa was also very considerate. She told Ethan that she didn't want to break him and her sister up. She simply couldn't bear to leave him. Playing the manipulative woman? Who couldn't do that? Lisa was smart. And what's more, she didn't love Ethan. She loved Ethan's money. Having been in the entertainment scene for so many years, Lisa was already a master at manipulating men. She didn't have to do anything except portray herself as an innocent girl who completely depended on Ethan. Out of guilt, Ethan would only spend more time and energy on her, and the presence of another woman in Ethan's life wouldn't escape Lily's notice. The time and energy he spent would leave traces. Lily soon discovered Lisa's existence. Ethan, her Ethan who had sworn to love only her forever, now had another woman, and that woman was her own twin sister. I wanted her to know that the love she prided herself on could also betray her. The fear of loss instinctively made Lily afraid. She feared losing everything she currently had, so she began to cling to Ethan in every possible way. Lisa was no pushover either. An invisible war raged fiercely. During a dispute between the sisters, Lily lost her baby. Lily was heartbroken and desolate, and Lisa felt remorseful. Ethan seemed to be their only antidote. Both sides tried every trick in the book, leaving Ethan mentally and physically exhausted. And at this point, it was time for me, his ex-wife, to make an appearance. Robert was discharged from the hospital, and Ethan came to visit at Mr. Williams' command. As he left, I walked him to the door. "You look so drawn and tired lately," I said softly, looking at him with a hint of concern in my eyes. Ethan seemed not to expect my concern, surprised for a moment before a bitter smile touched his lips. "Lately, there's been a lot going on with the company." He wasn't telling the truth, but I didn't care. I wasn't genuinely concerned about him anyway. "Your health is most important. Work will always be there," I said, my tone still light. yet feigning a touch of concern, but quite enjoyed it. Men were always like this. When we were together, he might not have cherished me, but now, as his ex-wife, my continued concern for him created an indescribable ambiguity. Ethan hesitated for a few seconds, then invited me. "If you're free, would you care for a drink?" With the male lead being so cooperative, I, as an observer, was naturally happy to oblige. Ethan and I went to an exclusive private club he frequented, discreet and luxurious. After 2 glasses of wine, Ethan clearly relaxed a lot. He didn't say anything, and neither did I. My task was merely to play the role of a quiet, sympathetic listener. Actually, I didn't need to ask. I already knew what was bothering Ethan. Lily had originally intended to gain status through a child and secure her position as the Sterling family's young madam. But now, her baby was gone, and Ethan also had Lisa by his side. Lily was scared. She knew that once she lost Ethan, she would have nothing, so started to become paranoid. Whenever Ethan wasn't with her, she assumed he was with Lisa. The formerly gentle and compliant Lily began checking up on him, trying every method to monopolize all of Ethan's time. In the past, she had also asserted her claim over him to me this way. Every time she called, Ethan would unhesitatingly abandon me to go to her side. But now, that trick no longer worked, because was even better at feigning helplessness than she was. Lily, of course, wouldn't give up easily, so she intensified her efforts. Lily was no longer satisfied with Ethan's voluntary updates. She began secretly sending people to watch him. Thus, the news of Ethan and me arriving at the exclusive private club quickly reached Lily. Ethan and I had been drinking for less than an hour when Lily arrived. This was the first time I had seen Lily since the wedding. She was still wearing an off-white dress, her face even paler than before, her eyes brimming with tears, looking wronged and pitiful. Well, she had just lost a child and hadn't even finished her postpartum recovery. When she ran here to catch her cheating partner, of course she'd feel wronged. Ethan. Lily's eyes were teary. The old Ethan would have definitely felt sorry for her, but the current Ethan's face showed a flicker of impatience. "Why are you here?" Ethan put down his wineglass and frowned slightly. "I wasn't feeling well, so Olivia brought me here to clear my head." "What a coincidence." Lily fabricated a lie. "Chloe, you're here too." I didn't respond. Instead, I leaned into Ethan's ear. "I'm leaving now. You should take her home soon." It was just a casual word of advice, but the slightly intimate gesture instantly triggered Lily's alarm. "Am I interrupting you too?" "It's all my fault." Lily's eyes reddened. I couldn't help but scoff inwardly. Lily probably never imagined that our roles would be so reversed one day. She used to be so self-assured in front of me, confident that Ethan was a man I could never take from her. But now, she was starting to panic. "Oh, it's not easy for you either." I looked at Ethan and gently, soothingly patted the back of his hand. My magnanimous attitude stood in stark contrast to Lily's calculating nature. For the first time, I saw regret in Ethan's eyes. Regret what? Regretting losing me, his magnanimous ex-wife? I stood up and brushed past Lily, a scornful smirk playing on my lips. Lily's eyes were red with fury because of me, but she had to maintain a gentle demeanor in front of Ethan. I swayed away, but inwardly, I was overjoyed. Being a backstabbing, manipulative woman was truly satisfying. Ethan started asking me out more and more often. He was suffocating between Lily and Lisa, and only in front of me could he find a moment of ease. Lily's hatred began to shift from Lisa to me. After all, Lisa looked and acted almost exactly like her. She was nothing more than a stand-in, but I was completely different from her from head to toe, and Ethan's change in attitude towards me was the biggest crisis for her. Lily was very patient, but even the most patient woman couldn't accept Ethan inviting me as his +1 to the Sterling's appreciation dinner, while she wasn't even qualified to show her face. The group's annual appreciation dinner invited all important clients who did business with Sterling, as well as the group's senior executives. I was a little surprised that Ethan would invite me, but his reason was quite sound. Robert was a founding member of the Sterling. He was recuperating at home and couldn't attend, so my attendance as his daughter wasn't too out of place. And most importantly, if I could attend with him, even if I said nothing, it would help wash away the negative impact of the wedding fiasco and help the Sterling salvage some of its image. Robert was a shareholder after all. If the Sterling did well, it was good for him too. I accepted Ethan's invitation, but the real reason I was persuaded wasn't those 2 points. It was because I knew this would be the last straw that would break Lily's back. Sure enough, when Lily learned I would be accompanying Ethan to the dinner, She couldn't help but confront him. You two are already divorced. What right does she have to accompany you? If not her, then who? You? Ethan's single sentence struck at the most humiliating point in Lily's heart. Ethan's words clearly implied she wasn't presentable. Lily burst into tears. But that trick no longer worked. When it came to crying, Lisa cried more beautifully than she did. All right, get some rest. Ethan hadn't even stayed overnight at her place for a long time, and Lily's heart was breaking, and a woman on the verge of breakdown would do many unpredictable things. That evening, I accompanied Ethan to the dinner. Everyone present knew about my relationship with Ethan, but they were all socially adept individuals, and no one broke the facade of harmony, until arrived. The moment he saw Lily, Ethan's face darkened. He pulled Lily into a secluded corner, and I slowly followed to watch the drama unfold. What are you doing here? Leave at once, Ethan urged, and his impatient attitude only made Lily feel more wronged. Why can't I be here? For the first time, Lily defied Ethan. I watched impassively from the side. My attitude only further provoked Lily. What right does she have to be here? Lily didn't dare challenge Ethan, so she turned her anger on me instead. Chloe, don't think these tricks will let you steal Ethan. Ethan won't ever like you. Lily taunted me without filter. Are you done talking? I slapped her. If you're done, then get out. My slap enraged Lily. Lily's eyes were wild with fury. You've schemed so hard. Aren't you just trying to get remarried to Ethan? Do you think I can't see through you? Ethan, don't be fooled by her. She just couldn't find a better man, so she's deliberately trying to get close to you. Ethan, who was about to pull Lily away, suddenly stopped, looking at me in silence, as if he was waiting for my answer too. I suppose my recent genuine portrayal of a sympathetic listener had given him that impression. Before I could speak, a clear male voice came from behind me. Oh, miss, you're here too? I turned at the sound and saw a dazzling face. Wow, it was Mr. Gift, Julian, the one I had accidentally gotten involved with in the Maldives. Julian's appearance made the atmosphere even stranger. Mr. Julian, you and Chloe know each other? Ethan's puzzled gaze darted between Julian and me. I was pondering how to answer when Julian walked over to me. Leaning in suggestively, I've been waiting for your call so long. The flowers would wilt waiting. Oh no. I'd been so busy battling manipulative women since I got back that I'd forgotten all about it. Fortunately, Julian didn't put me on the spot. He turned to Ethan and started talking. Mr. Ethan, if you don't mind, I'll be taking Miss with me, Julian said straightforwardly, directly taking my hand. Ethan's smile froze. Mr. Julian, you and Chloe. Julian raised an eyebrow suggestively at me. My relationship with Miss isn't exactly easy to explain. This schemer, he's doing this on purpose, isn't he? Saying such ambiguous things? Ethan's face darkened, but Lily brightened. It looks like this gentleman and Chloe have quite a complicated relationship, don't they? Lily said with a sarcastic tone. Julian immediately nodded. That's right. I'm trying to win her over. Lily grew even more excited. Ethan, we shouldn't disturb Chloe and this gentleman. I sighed inwardly. Mr. Gift, you walked right into this yourself, so don't blame me for playing along with your plan. I lightly coughed, feigning confusion as I asked Julian, what are you doing here too? Julian shrugged, just filling in for my old man. I continued to feign confusion. Who is your old man? Is he close with Sterling? This time, it was Ethan who answered. Mr. Julian is here representing Chihan for the appreciation dinner. Ethan looked at Julian, a hint of wariness in his eyes. Lily still seemed oblivious. Well, an innocent girl like her, who isn't serious about anything, probably knows less about Sterling's business than I do. I decided to give her a little push. I feigned surprise. Chihan, isn't that Sterling's largest investor? Mr. Liang is your father? At that, Lily's gloating smile instantly froze, and she looked at Julian incredulously. Julian nodded, delivering a devastating blow to Lily. This man, who claimed he wanted to win me over, was just as handsome as Ethan, and from a significantly more prominent family. Seeing Smile almost falter, I was deeply satisfied. Then we'll be going. I linked arms with Julian and gracefully departed. Without a doubt, I knew Lily behind me must be grinding her teeth in frustration. Oh, this feeling of riding on someone else's coattails was really something. This time, it was all thanks to Mr. Gift again. I had already guessed that Julian was Mr. Liang's nephew, but I never imagined he would be Mr. Liang's only son. and a late-in-life child, born when Mr. Leon was nearly 50, the sole heir to the Leong. Such a status was something I wouldn't even dare to dream of. So when Julian said he wanted to date me, I understood it as a different kind of invitation. After all, our relationship hadn't started in the most innocent way, but I thought for a few seconds and agreed. I wasn't interested in Julian or the Leong. I just needed him as a pawn to properly provoke that awful couple. Julian's influence was, indeed, more powerful than I'd imagined. He only accompanied me out a few times, and Ethan was already getting restless. Ethan started asking me out frequently, but I suddenly found myself with no time. The stark contrast in attitudes made Ethan grow impatient. For a man like him, who was used to always being the center of attention since childhood, he would never easily admit defeat. A man's competitive drive could sometimes be that simple and crude, but there was no way I could love him. I explicitly rejected Ethan, and for the first time, I saw pain on the face of this privileged man. So, he could feel regret too. Unfortunately, I was no longer willing to play along. Lily had also surprisingly quieted down during this time, so much so that even Lisa found it strange. She used to find ways to stir up trouble every other day, but recently she hasn't bothered me for a long time. Lisa secretly met up with me. Lily's quietness was making her a little unaccustomed. I smiled faintly, non-committally. It was actually very simple. At that dinner, Lily had seen Julian, and with her calculating nature, she must have gone back and had someone investigate Julian's background. This was a man 100 times more brilliant than Ethan. While had a name for itself in Riverbend City, it was nothing special nationwide. The corporation, however, had invested in hundreds of companies like Sterling. For a woman like Lily, there was no best, only better. Before, Ethan was her best option, but now, she had a better one, because now, she wants to be Mrs. Leong. I patiently explained to Lisa. Lisa's jaw dropped in shock. Is she out of her mind? Lisa was someone who had been through life's hardships and had some self-awareness. She knew that without my help, she would never have been able to get close to a man like Ethan. Lily, however, had always lived in an ivory tower, and she naturally assumed that if she could win over Ethan, she could also make Julian bow to her will. Her scandal with Ethan is already common knowledge. Julian isn't stupid. Lisa couldn't help but roll her eyes. Lisa was right. Lily's reputation was ruined now, and becoming Mrs. Leon was unrealistic. But what if the woman in the wedding video wasn't Lily, but Lisa? What? Lisa was even more confused. My words completely baffled her. I quickly explained my plan. You and Lily look identical. As long as you take the blame for the video incident, she'll remain an innocent girl with a clean slate, naturally qualified to become Mrs. Leong. And you, in turn, can rightfully become Ethan's wife. Lisa was smart and immediately understood my meaning. To grab the bigger prize, Lily would have to abandon what she already had, and I wanted her to lose what she had, and still not get the bigger prize. Being left with nothing was the ending she deserved. Lisa was a woman of action. The hardships of society had taught her clearly that some opportunities, if not seized firmly, would slip away in an instant. So she quickly found an opportunity for her sister's reconciliation with Lily, and kindly proposed the scapegoat plan. Lily was worried about finding a chance to clear her name, and Lisa offered her a ladder. Of course, she took the bait. Lily and Lisa teamed up to put on a show. In city's busiest town, Lisa knelt before Lily, tearfully apologizing, claiming that she and Ethan were truly in love and hadn't intended to drag her sister down. Lily's face was quite well known in Riverbend City. After all, she was the woman linked to Ethan. When two identical Miss appeared, it quickly piqued people's curiosity. With promotion from online bots, the story of the true and imposter Miss quickly became local headlines. So, it turned out that the woman in Mr. Ethan's wedding video wasn't Miss after all, but Mrs. twin sister. With this act, Lily also personally severed Ethan's last bit of affection for her, but now couldn't spare a thought for Ethan's feelings. Lily successfully cleared her name, returning to Riverbend City's social circles as someone who had suffered injustice but endured humiliation. Julian was naturally her biggest target. No matter where Julian went, he would always accidentally run into Lily. Julian started asking me out less and less, and meeting Lily more and more often. Our most recent encounter was at the golf club. I was with my best friend, and Julian was with Lily. My best friend's eyes almost popped out of her head when she saw them. Is this woman cursed to clash with you? Why does she have to snatch away every man connected to you? I shrugged. unconcerned. My indifference, however, was perceived by Lily as fleeing in defeat. She cornered me at the entrance of the women's restroom. Chloe, Julian told me you two met in the Maldives. Next week. We're also going to the Maldives together for a trip. I saw the diamond ring Julian prepared. He must be planning to propose to me during the trip. Lily had specifically come to gloat to me, wanting to see my sad and disappointed expression. I had no choice but to play along with her act, deliberately putting on a heartbroken and desperate look. Oh, I really am such a good person. Just let you enjoy this moment for now. A week later, I landed in the Maldives. The moment Lily saw me, she looked as if she'd seen a ghost. What are you doing here? I'm telling you, even if you're clingy, Julian won't pay attention to you. Lily raged at me, but I casually looked over her shoulder. Julian walked toward us, holding roses. Lily also turned to look, her expression immediately changing as she transformed into an innocent girl. Julian. She saw the flowers and the ring in his hand. Her face flushed with shyness, and she didn't forget to glance at me triumphantly. I remained standing still. Julian walked past Lily, came up to me, and knelt on one knee. My dear, will you marry me? Seeing proposed to me, Lily's eyes practically split open in shock. Julian, you must have made a mistake. Lily refused to give up, grabbing Julian's arm with tears welling up in her eyes. Julian shook her off and looked at me with a slight air of being wronged. I knew that making him play along reluctantly with Lily these past few weeks had indeed been unfair to him. Oh, by the way, your Ethan and your sister just got married. I kindly delivered the good news. Lisa asked me to thank you for giving her the position of Mrs. Sterling. Before they got married, Ethan got drunk and called me over a dozen times, but I didn't answer a single one. Lisa knew Ethan didn't love her, but she didn't care. All she wanted was the title of Mrs. Sterling, and I wanted Ethan to live a lifetime of regret and sorrow. We merely each got what we wanted. Lily stared at me incredulously, finally realizing the truth at that moment. You and Lisa are in cahoots. You both tricked me. She looked at Julian, almost breaking down. Julian, she's a bad person. She deceived me, and she deceived you too. I know, Julian said, putting his arm around my shoulder, looking utterly devoted. I just love her carefree way of scheming. Lily's last shred of hope vanished. Lily, do you like my gift? I lightly lifted her chin, looking at her innocent face with disdain. Robert had undergone treatment and could now walk slowly, but a full recovery to his previous state was impossible. Lily, your willful selfishness almost made me lose my father. And now, you finally know what it means to be heartbroken and desolate. The sea breeze in the Maldives was as warm as ever. Julian held my hand, gently caressing the diamond ring on my finger. I looked up at him. Under the setting sun, Julian's gaze was soft and tender. I admit, I was truly delighted with this divorce gift. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.